When you look at the number of black coaches, specifically in England and the Premier League, leaves a lot to be desired. What's your take on all of this? What do you think actually is going on here?
I would say parted ways. No.
Mutual consent. Mutual consent,
Darren,
Nigel.
the door's that way, yeah, you got to go. So I just think he was forced out. And I know Darren really well. I worked with him, had the pleasure of working with him, played against him as well. One of the nicest human beings ever. Just wants to do well. And it's not the first time. Because let's be Darren Moore was in charge at West Bromwich Albion when they were, I believe, third in the championship. Only maybe 6 points or so off the top, and they sacked him for no reason, and he left West Brom as well. So it's not the first time he's been in this situation. He is a great manager, a great soul and human being, and for me, as a black player, an ex-player playing in England, I'm not surprised. Like, the sad thing is we're getting used to this. And speaking to some of my old colleagues and people who work in media and young players who are trying to do coaching and management, we actually said to each other, what chance have we got if they're sacking Darren Moore? And Darren Moore is a nice guy. Like, really nice guy. So if they're sacking Darren Moore, or parting ways, sorry, what chance have we got? Because we have no chance if that's what's happening to him. And it's just, for me, it's just not enough. It really is. We've been saying the same things for so long, but the PFA, the Football Union in England for the players, have said that managers with qualifications is not a problem. That's not an issue. They know all the black managers and coaches of ethnic minorities who have the qualifications, the UEFA A license, the UEFA A Pro. There's so many well qualified. Getting the opportunity is the problem. You have one black owner of a club in England, and it's Ben Robinson, who owns Bertie and Albion. His daughter is a chief executive at Wrexham, owned by obviously Ryan Reynolds. She's the only black female chief executive in the whole Football League. And then you also got one member of a board at Brentford, Davies. He's the only black member of a board in a non-executive kind of role. Also has some roles with the Football Association. But it's just not enough. You know, people are hiring people they're more comfortable with. There isn't enough representation in these other levels. And, you know, when you speak to some directors and you get to meet some of these chief executives and stuff like that, you just don't see real change. You don't see, it's a system that's been in place for so long. And for us, it's sad for me to say it, but there is conversations that we have with top quality players, legends in the Premier League, and we have these conversations. It's what chance do we have? What's the point of pursuing it? Because we don't get an opportunity.
And now we transition to North America Major League Soccer, right? So you have two black coaches, Wilfred Nancy at the Columbus Crew, who has proven his value, his worth, and look where he started. He moved to Montreal and coached kids and worked his way up. A lot of players, former players who are black, have to start with the youngest in the academy and work your way up. It's not you retire and you get an assistant coaching job with the first team, or even the running the reserves team in MLS Next Pro. You have to start at the bottom of the totem pole. And I watch so many players struggle to think about what comes next, because they know if it is coaching, that you have to do the impossible to be even considered for a head coaching role. And even so, if you do go and take that interview, a lot of times it's just for optics.
Yeah.
I've been in a position where I interviewed for a technical director role. The job was already given to the eventual technical director. It was already given.
It was you were a box that had to be checked.
I was a box that had to be checked. And on top of that,
when did you find that out? After the fact or before?
After the fact.
That's gotta be so frustrating.
I reached out to everyone I respected and knew who have been holding these roles: sporting director, technical directors, head coaches. What do I need to know to be successful in this job? You have all the intangibles, right? Your playing career speaks for itself, but building relationships is a big part of this job. You need to know who to connect with, how to find players, how to manage relationships. That's a big part of being successful in a lot of these roles. Who do you know? Well, if you have all those, all the other things you can learn. That's where you get your experience, is what you've already done and the people you know. You have those things that you can't teach. The other things you can teach, but you got to get the opportunity. So I came into this job interview and I felt I know everything I need to know to hit the ground running and be the best technical director I can be, knowing that the long-term plan is I'm a club president or I'm a sporting director, right? These are the opportunities that are in front of you. But knowing that I put everything into it just for a fake job opportunity, it was demoralizing. And that was one of those moments where I looked myself in the mirror and said, if this is how it's going to be, then is this the right path for me?
Yeah.
Do you know what?
I thought to myself, how many players go through this same instance of being brought along to say, oh, you know, we're actually considering you when you have no chance. And after the fact, when I found out that the job was already given away, a player on the team contacted me and said, hey, just so you know, they told us in training the technical director has been hired. This is before the club president reached out to me to tell me this, okay? So the club president calls me and says, this job interview for you was for experience.
Sure.
So that in the future, you know what is needed to get this job. And I think you'd be a fantastic technical director, so you need to go out and get that experience. So I think maybe you should become an agent. Become an agent to get that. That's what
Charlie,
I was told.
Let me just jump on that, right? Because Charlie's 100% right. This is what we have to deal with. And the sad thing is, it's becoming a bit of an acceptance, a sad acceptance for young black coaches and people who play the game. Because for us, it's, oh, but you don't have no experience. But we see many white colleagues or players we played with who have no experience and they're allowed to learn on the job.
Ushered right up to the front of the line.
I'll give you an example. Gary O'Neill. Played against Gary O'Neill many years, played with him in England under 21s level. He kind of stopped playing, was humming and hawing what to do. Went and got his qualifications. From getting his qualifications, because of connections again, went straight to Liverpool. Was managing, was a first-team coach at Liverpool under 23s. From Liverpool under 23s, goes straight to Bournemouth with Scotty Parker. Scott Parker gets sacked. Gary O'Neill, Bournemouth manager. Like, those opportunities don't happen for black players. And then my thing is, when we talk amongst ourselves, it's all right, you look at some of the white players we played with, we went to war with them on the pitch. They get these opportunities. Not many of them bring black players as their assistants or coaches. The only one who's I've done that, I'll give him credit to, is Frank Lampard. He's brought Ashley Cole on. But there's so many other players who are legends in the game that have gone in these opportunities, but they're not bringing some of their black colleagues that they went to war with. And again, it's the whole comfort level of being comfortable with someone that looks like them, someone that comes from the same ethnicity background as them, that they're comfortable with. That plays a big part. Like, being in that dressing room.
Representation is massive.
What's ironic is you're seeing these rosters be so much more diverse than they were in the past.
Yep.
And if you have a coach who can communicate with these players, knowing what they had to deal with and what they had to come through to be at this level, it would be that much easier to manage players because you can reach them. You know that you know what they went through. And I look at some of the players who are assistant managers now. Shalrie Joseph had to start with the U14 or 15s with the Revs initially. Worked his way up. Now Bruce Arena took him in. Ricardo Clark, assistant. I played with him on the pitch. Played in MLS for a lot of years. He's at Vancouver. Pa Muruka, another player, former player. A lot of experience. Great at connecting. Anyone who comes
speaks 7 languages.
Anyone who comes around Pa says, what an incredible person, right? Can connect with you. Tyrone Marshall, Ashley Cole, Jermaine Jones, Thierry Henry, another one. This is a world superstar where every kid looked up to him. And he has to struggle just to get an interview.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I will say, I looked this up. Patrick Vieira, when he was still at Crystal Palace, of how many teams did you say they were professional? 92 in England?
92 professional clubs.
92 professional clubs. 4.4% of all coaching positions were filled by black people. 4.4.
And think about the
across all
numbers
that.
of coaches.
That's what I'm saying. 92 professional teams. I want to ask you, because I think representation is extremely important. When you were coming up, did you think you would even be a coach? Were there any black coaches that you could talk to that would tell you what that lineup was?
None.
No.
None.
No. And this is, let me just add this quickly before we move on. And this is the thing about the demographic of the dressing room, things that go on. I've always been known as a big personality, as you used to make fun of the daddy of the dressing room, right?
Right.
If I went into training and I wasn't vocal and I just wanted to go and say, I'm going to be quiet and do my job, coaches would be like, what's wrong with Nigel? What's wrong with Nigel? Because they're so, I'm telling you a true story. Coaches would be like, what's wrong with Nigel? I had one manager who wouldn't come up to me. and would send one of our black fitness coaches we had at the time, who was Rare, to ask me what was wrong with me. So what's wrong with you? I said, the gaffer wants to know. He's the manager, he can come and talk to me, I'm his captain, but he doesn't want to talk to me. But that goes to show how uncomfortable that they are.
Yeah.
He didn't come and talk to me, to ask me what was wrong. He sent the black coach to come and talk to me, and I'm like, I just want to go in, do my job, be quiet, and then go home. No, but you're not yourself. And I've had it before when it goes to players as well. Like white players, like, Nigel, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm having a quiet moment. When you have a quiet moment, it's okay. But when I have a quiet moment, it makes them uncomfortable. It perceive like I'm angry. I'm not. And that goes to this fact of when you play and coming through as a black player, the amount of young black players that haven't made it because a white coach goes, he's got an attitude problem. When it's not an attitude problem, it's society and other things that he has to deal with that you're not used to seeing or speaking to, because again, you don't communicate to this young kid to know what he's going through from where he comes from, for his family environment. So that kid's career is destroyed because once he says he's got an attitude problem, all the white coaches say the same thing.
Yeah,
and he
you
doesn't get
even
an
talked
opinion.
about it with players who are perceived to be doing something negative. Paul Pogba, Marcus Rashford,
Oh, the
Jadon
dancing.
Sancho.
I mean, Graham Souness always bringing
Raheem
it up.
Sterling buys a house. Oh, look how big time he is. Oh, about Phil Foden buys the same house. Oh, he's taking care of his mother and his family. Like, these are things that we're used to. We're
It's
not
an
naive.
embarrassment.
The
We see it.
lens that in which these players and coaches are viewed through is completely different than anyone else. And I have to imagine, too, the amount of pressure that these guys feel. If they're given an opportunity, if you are one
And
of
you
the
have to be a
4%
model citizen.
You can't-
that
God
gets
forbid
what-
you
you
make
can't
mistakes.
make one single mistake. And especially in a results-driven business that we see, how much pressure is that?
The pressure is relentless. The dynamic is you're going into a dressing room where most of these players now, they're used to playing with black players. They're not used to having a black manager, a black person in power of position. I've seen it, like we said about Darren Moore. When he was in charge at West Brom, there was a certain player who was going to get a move. So now I'm sitting now, for the first time, seeing a black manager in the position of power. The dynamic in the dressing room completely changes. And I'm looking at Darren, and Darren knows he's under pressure. If one of these white senior players wants to go rogue and turn that dressing room, it turns just like that. Because they're not used to seeing a black manager in position of power, he gets one or two bad results. That whole dressing room mentality has changed because of white players not being used to having a black manager and not comfortable to it. One of the players, the player I'm talking about in particular, I'm not going to say his name, he nearly got into a fight with one of the young goalkeepers because he wasn't training properly, because he wanted to move at that time for that club. And I could see him being a problem. And at the time, I wasn't signed. If I was signed, I would have put him right in the air. I wanted to two-foot him so much because he didn't want that smoke. But I know the problem that he can cause for such a good man who just wants to do the job, knows the game. Let's not just say about talking opportunity. These are players who've done the qualifications,
deserve
done
it,
the hard work,
who earned it, yes.
deserve this opportunity. This isn't we want a handout. This is no, we are qualified.
They're qualified.
Give us the opportunity. We're not begging just for, just put us up there for the sake of it. No, we know the game. We've played it. We know how to articulate ourselves. We know how to communicate, get messages across.
Well, no sporting directors that are black.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
I know we have to go
Ownerships,
to break.
Sporting directors.
But you're from Croydon. Stormzy and Wilfred Zaha owning a team in Croydon where you're from. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And it's another step forward, but it's just the whole dynamic needs to change in the world of
does.
football. It needs to reflect the diversity you see on the pitch.